All right, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Telivy webinar series featuring Pitch IT founders. Very excited to introduce our guest here today. Andrew, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey Jeremy, it's good to be with you on this seminar. Look, I'm been around the MSP space for almost 30 years. I founded my own MSP back in the early 1990s, and we've been looking after customers here in New Zealand ever since. And as part of that, we've grown out and tried to see how we can share our learnings with others and take some of that to market. It's great to be here. It's great to be with you alongside you at the Pitch It event that Connectwise has been sponsoring over the last several months.
Absolutely, and I'd love to dive into all of your learnings in a bit as well. But yeah, a little bit about us and about me. Hey, everybody, I'm Jeremy, head of partnerships at Telivy, and we're also a sales tool, approaching it from the risk assessment standpoint. If you think you could benefit from capturing new prospects on your website, come reach out to us about and ask about putting our Televy risk assessment widget on your homepage. Yeah, let's dive right into Kambium here. Could you tell us a little bit about Kambium and also share a customer success story end to end with us?
Sure. So, firstly, I think that when you're out talking to businesses, and I spend a bit of time in governance and business governance in general, not specifically IT. And when you're talking to business and business leaders, they are interested in achieving their goals. So, it's my view that businesses only ever invest in IT projects for three reasons. Sometimes it's only one of the three, sometimes two of the three apply. The first reason is capability. They want to do something new that they haven't done before. I want to automate a business process. I want to get some new data information. I want to take a new service to market, so a new capability. The second is capacity. I wanted to do more of something or get better value for something or have something go faster. And the third is risk. I want to mitigate a risk. So, of course, you're coming at it from the point of view of mitigating cyber risk. But actually, a business isn't certainly thinking about cyber risk. They're thinking about reputational risk. They're thinking about brand damage. They're thinking about regulatory risk. They're looking at it from a business risk lens. So if you, as an MSP, are talking to a business owner, they don't tend to see technology as an end. They see it as a means to help them achieve their business goals, bringing new services, growing my revenue, controlling my costs, mitigating my risks. At the same time, we in IT people, we tend to see the technology behind that. So our job is to bridge that gap. And that's probably been my overwhelming driver in setting up Get Kambium, because when I look around the MSP space, and of course I'm a former engineer myself, a techie, we tend to see problems or opportunities. We say, Josh, you know what? That bit of software is old. We should update it. That piece of equipment is the wrong model. There's a better one. We could do that thing faster, more efficiently. We tend to see the technology, and that's who we are and what we do. We're wired, if you like, to play with the wires. But the businesses that we're talking to, they might be in logistics. I'm interested in knowing that I can get more of my fleet out onto the road at the same time, that I can use my fleet more efficiently. I can manage the staffing required to have the right number of drivers. And professional services, and I'm concerned that I can make sure that I can onboard a new customer with less admin because my team needs to be busy being architects, engineers, accountants, lawyers. I'm interested in retail, where I can provide a more seamless experience for my customers to be able to engage with me, to access the new offerings that we've got and to buy those online and put less friction in the way, or whatever else the business is in. Even in not-for-profits, I'm interested in knowing how I can help more people to experience I don't know, a sign language session at a doctor's meeting, or I'm interested in understanding how I can help people who need access to services that can't otherwise afford those. As the business owners are thinking about what their business or what their organization does, and IT helps them to do it. If we are their trusted IT partner, we need to know what's important to them overall, what's important to them in their planning cycle for this 12 months, what's important to them in their planning cycle for this quarter, what are the goals they're working towards, what are the risks they're trying to manage, what are the things that we can do to help them deliver what they've promised to their boards and stakeholders. So that's where Get Kambium comes from, helping fairly technical people to have that translation of business need and turn it into technology, because ultimately technology helps deliver all of those business goals.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we're hitting this point at the very top. IT is not. It's not about being IT. It's about helping clients propel their business forward, help them with business development. What do they care about? You have a very, very clear idea of their day-to-day pain points, right? You were talking about logistics and shipments and customers um, and usually the folks that we work with, their clients care about revenue, care about onboarding new customers, care about maintaining or keeping or servicing their existing customers and keeping them happy. Um, yeah, I think positioning ourselves as, hey, we're here to use technology to drive your business forward and grow your business. I think is the winning model there. I'd love to understand when you're working with all the MSPs that you work with. Do you see a through line in MSP sales processes? Is there a standard that a lot of folks use working models? You touched on the best practices, but I'd love to understand concretely if there's something like a golden working model.
Well, nothing I've just said is unique to our point of view. It's all pretty generic. I mean, they've been teaching strategic selling, strategic solution sales. I don't know. My father probably was taught this stuff. His father before him. I mean, there's nothing new in the idea of how you do strategic sales. It is understanding the underlying need and then showing how you can help do it. And there's various algorithms, if you like, given the audience, algorithms, mnemonics, spin, situation, problem, impact, needs, pretty common one. Um, and our job is to unpack that. So what I've just gone through, I mean, any sales coach will teach you that. I was just got off a call from a very well-known IT MSP sales coaching business just an hour or so ago, and this is exactly their methodology. But they teach you how to do it in they coach it to you and say, here's what you should do, and it's up to you to go away and do it. And quite often people do it with a notebook, a piece of paper. They go out there and head away and do it fairly informally. What we've done with Get Cambium is we said, actually, let's make that the standard way you do things. As MSPs, we love to automate stuff. And you mentioned that your product is available, for example, in a widget on a website, which is fantastic. You're getting rid of the friction to experience Telivy. I think that's a really important idea. Lots of businesses are concerned about cybersecurity, as they should be. They've got to understand the risks are real and tangible and immediate.
And compliance
That's
too required.
but that's just one part. An MSP, if an MSP is completely focused on the risk, they're missing a lot of the opportunity, because our customers are wanting to manage their risk, absolutely, but they're also wanting to reduce friction in transactions, to grow their revenue, to nurture and look after their clients, and for that matter, their staff. They're trying to make their workplaces more interesting and more fulfilling. And so technology can offer outcomes in all of that. And it was brought home to me when in my MSP business, I had a client saying, we're spending more money per month on IT than ever before, and you're not doing anything different. And I sat there thinking, hang on a minute, our rate hasn't changed. You're still paying the same fixed monthly fee today as you were a year ago. You're not paying more per month. And so I unpacked that. And what I found was that my client was indeed spending more around here. They spent spending it with us. They were going out there and they brought in data analytics providers. They brought in some e-commerce providers. They were investing in technology as they saw it, not as I saw it, but as they saw it. It was all going to the technology bucket in their profit and loss statement, and they were getting more value from it. But we thought we were the trusted IT advisor. They were doing all this without us. And there's a huge opportunity that MSPs overlook when they focus just on, for example, cybersecurity. And so cybersecurity is massive, but it's not the only thing. Imagine how much quicker you'd grow if you understood all of the things your customer cared about and you were able to help. So back in the day, 15 years ago, we were installing a thing called Microsoft Small Business Server. And some people who are listening in on this will remember that, and others will wonder what the hell it is and go and look up the history books. But back in the day, you had to have, any business more than say 5 staff had to have a small server. I mean, it's a small business server, Exchange on it, SQL, with none of this cloud stuff. And we could have maybe one technician could look after 10 clients. Today, a business with 5 or 10 staff doesn't ring an MSP. They go online and buy G Suite or 365. They go down to
Mm-hmm.
Best Buy or some other retailer and buy a bunch of gear. They deploy it themselves, generally, because the stuff's been made quite easy to deploy, or they might get, somebody's got a bit of an inkling towards it. And they're away with access to some fantastic tools, CRM tools, HRIS tools, logistics tools, whatever they need, through the cloud in a way that they couldn't do it before, and they're using IT to deliver their goals. The opportunity for us as the IT experts is to go in there and say, well, you know what, actually, is that secure? Are those tools the best combination for you? Are they connecting and sharing data in the right way?
Mm-hmm.
What's the key information that you've got that's limited, that should only be limited to a certain number of stakeholders? What's the obligation around that? What would happen if that leaked out to somebody else? How can we control that? So should we be implementing IRM or DLP? Well, the organization doesn't even know what those things are. Microsoft 365, of course, is absolutely insecure when you turn it on because none of those features are enabled until you configure them for the customer. So our opportunity as an MSP is enormous if we can understand what our customer is trying to do and help them to do it. And quite often, the buyer of those services isn't the traditional buyer that we've always gone to either. The buyer of those services might be a line manager, it might be a warehouse
Mm-hmm.
manager, it might be an HR manager, it might be a chief marketing officer, it might be whatever the role is. It's a line manager, and they are consuming IT, more IT than they've consumed before. They're buying it differently. They don't know any more about IT now than their predecessors knew 10 years ago, except they know it's important. If we, as the technology expert helping that business, can understand what they want to achieve, and we can reconfigure the services that we offer to
Yep.
help them achieve the things that are important to them, you're going to have stickier, happier clients that are growing faster and doing more things because they're achieving their goals. Who doesn't want that? That's
Yep.
brilliant.
100% agree. Adjusting the services to drive clients' business forward. Also adjusting our messaging. Sometimes it's just how we talk about it too, as you've discussed. I want to dive deep into. There's one thing on your background, your Zoom background here. Ask the right questions.
Correct.
What does that mean, and how do you ask the right questions?
Well, that's our secret sauce. By asking the right questions. So again, there's a saying that sometimes people listen to reply and other people listen to learn. And as MSPs and have been around this industry a long time, been to the conferences, and people listening on to this course are from our industry. So you'll know and reflect yourself. If you sit down and you see something, do you listen to understand, or do you listen so you know when to reply with what you knew at the start? Unfortunately, as technical people, we tend to be problem solution. And so we tend to see a technical problem and want to recommend a solution before we've even really listened to the requirement. So asking the right questions about asking the who, what, why questions, the open questions to understand what the customer is trying to achieve, to get their broader context, to connect with them at a much deeper level where they can build that trust relationship, not just because we know their IT, but because we know what they're trying to use their IT to achieve. And so get Kambium. So as technical people, we find it hard to ask those questions because it's not the way that we are built. We are, if you think about the personality profile, we tend to be, as I say, technical folk. Get Kambium is a portal that makes it easy for an MSP to log in with a system, because gosh, we like to systemize stuff, don't we? So how about we systemize our sales process? Well, that makes sense. We like to use tools. Well, we should use a tool for our sales process. That makes sense too. Get Kambium is not a CRM. Get Kambium is the tool that comes before the CRM to understand the customer and to build out that profile. So out of the portal, you log in, set up a new discovery with a customer, and it suggests the questions in the right order, in the way that you can ask them with the customer to show them that you're systemized and to learn about the customer by asking open questions. Then, having asked the questions, it can be a guide you through. You can choose whether it's a cybersecurity questionnaire, which of course is something that Telivy are very good at, or whether it is a productivity questionnaire or a governance questionnaire, or an architecture questionnaire, or whatever else. You can go through, do those questions, then come back to the office and make the recommendations. And quite often, you see something and you know the recommendation straight away. You actually know, hey, look, this is last year's mouse, and the right answer is this year's mouse, which is so much swifter, faster, and shinier. So you might do that, or you might actually change your recommendation and modify it to being specifically one for the customer, putting in their names for things and their people and their context. But you make the recommendation that says, because of what you want to do, we recommend doing this thing over here. And that's creating your roadmap. So your roadmap is saying, based on your problem, in Q2, we recommend doing this activity. It's going to cost roughly this amount of money, and we'll do this much of it, and we'll bring in partners for the rest, because there might be things that we don't do. We might need to bring in a CRM provider, for example, or we might need to bring in somebody who does, I don't know, security cameras. Who knows what it might happen to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the roadmap is the outcome of the recommendations. What we're going to do, when we're going to do it, roughly what it's going to cost, and then you can go back to the customer and say, "This is the roadmap that we've worked out with you. Do you agree?" And the customer goes, "Yep, I agree. That I don't want to do that one after all on reflection, but I agree with that one. Can you split that one into two, or can you combine those ones, or whatever?" That's now the roadmap. The customer can budget for that in their annual budgeting exercise, and the MSP can budget for it and know what they can expect and why the customer wants to do it. Next thing is to do it. And so the QBR, the clue is in the name, quarterly business review. So going out to a customer to do a QBR and taking a technology dashboard that says, hey, look, your tickets are good, and these machines are old, need replaced, and these ones are fine, here's the licensing. That's a great thing to do, but that's an operational dashboard. When you do your QBR, you have this massive opportunity to also say, in Q3, you said that you wanted to start the exercise of finding that new CRM. So we recommend that we help you now to go to market to write that specification, or we help you go to market, or your cyber insurance renewal is coming up in
Tie
Q3.
it back to their business goals. Yep.
Correct. Tie it right back to their business goals. That's the plan. That's the recommendation. So this is what we agreed to do now. So that we can make sure that your cyber insurance is renewed, that risk is mitigated. We can make sure that challenge you've got recruiting new interns or graduates or whatever it is achieved, because we've done this thing in advance and understood the underlying business here. Can you see how? So you asked about experience of MSPs using our tool. We've got one MSP in Sydney who found something like 300 opportunities worth, oh Lord, I can't remember how many $1 million. I'm sorry, I should remember.
Yeah, I mean, all we need to know is it's millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars of opportunity in a handful of customers that they're busy prosecuting. And you know what? Those deals are all qualified because they know why, they know when, they've got the budget numbers in there, they know the decision makers. Those deals are qualified as well. So they're not just, pray and hope. That's real business for a real reason.
I think the Kambium platform is brilliant because the way I think about, and just things I've learned in my learning how to do sales journey, a sales call isn't you pitching or you selling at them or you talking at the customer. It's an interview. You're asking questions. It's all about asking questions. So you understand what their goals are, what their pain points are, what their process is, and go, oh, I think we can supplement that, or I think we can help get you there together. I'm curious to ask a little bit about objections, or rather, a couple scenarios. If I'm an MSP and I'm just having a lot of trouble convincing a client that IT is necessary, cybersecurity is necessary, I need to justify the spend. And some clients just don't care, or they don't understand the value. No matter how much me as an MSP, I just educate and just give them examples or it just doesn't connect or get through. I know there's a lot there, right? There's qualification, there's the questions, and are we asking the right follow-up questions once they answer the first set of questions? But I want to see how you tackle that problem. It's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. You're absolutely right. And the answer is you can't help everyone. Nothing to stop people being stupid. There's no law out there that says, hey, you can't be stupid. And there are stupid people. So the first thing is, don't beat yourself up trying to climb the impossible wall, because Ain't gonna happen. If somebody is can be made aware of the situation and still disregard it, then well, actually, that shouldn't be a client of yours, frankly.
Mm.
But stepping back from that, you don't want to get to that conclusion easily. So the first thing is to understand what is important to them. So there's a really interesting a writer called Dr. Robert Cialdini. I love this guy's books. You can get them on Amazon. He's got a website, and he talks about the seven principles of persuasion.
Mm.
And one of those is, which I really love, is consistency. Because you said this must be true. So because you said that you are concerned about the cost of securing your business, you want to manage that cost. Um, so because we want to manage the cost, you want to have a look at insurance. Because you want the insurance, they require you to make these steps that will allow you to meet the insurance requirement. Oh, you don't want to pay for the insurance. Well, that means that you're prepared to accept the risk and you're owning the risk rather than selling it. That means that you can't offset that, which means that you need to do those things to mitigate the risk even more than before. But no one likes the dissonance of disagreeing with themselves. I mean, there are people who do it, obviously, but it's not very helpful. So stay out of US politics. You can most people would like to be consistent at least with themselves. So by understanding what's important to them, by asking the right question to understand what they care about, you can say, because of this, therefore we can agree on this thing over here, which isn't where you want to get to, but we can agree on this. Now, because we agree on this, let's take the next step, and so forth. And so my advice is to always start off by finding out what they care about and what's important to them, not what's important to you, because you need to listen to them, what you think. They're just going to find somebody else to agree with them. But if we find ourselves in a situation where we're talking to their priorities, we're going to be more successful, and we won't be pushing that rock uphill.
Um, and I think that's extremely helpful. Um, my mind blanked. I had a follow-up question.
That's
Uh,
also why you need a tool that lays it out for you.
yes, yes,
You can't
yes. No, I
do
love that Cambium is like this SDR, account executive, assistant, advisor. Even if I'm still learning the sales process, Cambium helps me get the work done right, and it's also training me too, right?
And
So
you know what happens is you go out to see somebody, and the traffic's bad. And heck, you live in San Jose. I bet there's days when the traffic's terrible. I've been up in your neighborhood. And so you're running 10 minutes late for the meeting, they're sweating a bit. Your partner at home is upset about something or rather that's going on, and you're not in a great headspace. And you've got to get into a meeting, put on a happy face, and go and do a meeting when your mind is sort of circling around, whatever else. And again, having a tool that keeps you back on track and takes you back to suggesting the next question because you've done it before and you're automating a process. You might be the delivering part of the process, but you've got an automation there to make sure that you can do it as efficiently and as well and as effectively as you could hope to do.
I'm curious. You mentioned there is a point where it's not worth the effort to push the rock uphill.
Yeah.
What is your qualification criteria? How do you determine that to stop pursuing this? And sometimes it's really hard because maybe it's an existing customer. So as an MSP, I would think, oh, they paid, they are a customer. You know, why can't we continue, right? So,
It's such a hard one. It's a judgment call too, because also sometimes your customers aren't consistent.
yep.
You've had a great relationship with the customer for a long time, and now they've got a new person that you're talking to, and that new person's got their favorite MSP, and they've brought in their favorite MSP who's gone and had a look and gone, why didn't you do A, B, and C? And you're sitting there going, damn, I told you to do A, B, and C, your predecessor, and they refused to do it. And now you're blaming me for you having not your predecessor's decisions. How does that work? And so again, it can be helpful because you can sit there and go, well, these are the recommendations we've been making. I couldn't reach in and get your checkbook out and write the check. So your predecessor made that decision, did their prioritization. That's on them. Um, the decision as to when you qualify people in or out, it is a hard line. I don't think there's a fixed. I've never seen in all of my experience a fixed answer for that. There's a point at which you just simply and there's also ways of pushing back. There's a point where you go, well, actually, I'm just going to stop pushing this deal, but we're going to stay in contact and move that organization into a nurture phase. I don't think there is a hard and fast, but I believe you can't close business unless you've got a problem. I think closing starts, and I know this is a bit controversial. I think probably half the folk you talk to would agree and but half would disagree. But I'm strongly of the view that you begin closing business when you qualify it. Who are the people in your business that make the decisions? What's important to them? How's the budget allocated? What's the decision making? Is that your decision making process, or do you need to get it approved? What help can I give you to get that approved? What do you need? Who are the decision makers? What's important to them? What's the timing on this? Is there anything we need to know in terms of timing? Is anybody else trying to solve this problem? Do you have any other competitors on there? Is this a thing that, is it our sweet spot thing? We've got a unique story because you're talking to a thing that we've got case studies that reference, for example, or is it something that we're doing for the first time with you? There's a variety of algorithms and mnemonics for uh, sales qualification, but they all really
Mm-hmm.
come down to making sure that you understand need, budget, decision maker, timing.
Yep. Yep.
So
100% agree. Um, I'd love to understand first, what do they care about? What would you say is the number one thing that you see clients of MSPs caring about? And MSPs, when they tackle that number one pain point, they or business goal, right? They start to find some success.
as I say, there's really three things that drive a customer's decision making. They've got a goal as shareholders. There's either an existing company, so it might be a professional services firm that's reasonably stable. It might be a startup that's trying to rocket up into market, or a competitor in a space. They actually all care about different things. And even two firms that kind of look the same might be vastly different, because one might be somebody who's working all the hours that God gave to try and grow, and the other one's somebody who's closer to retirement, maybe in a lifestyle situation. So they all have different drivers behind them, even if they look the same outwardly. And it's important to understand that. Generally, as I say, businesses are looking to do something new, a new capability. They're looking to do something faster or less expensively, which is a capacity issue, or they're looking to mitigate a risk, or a combination of those three things. And actually, every business you talk to is slightly different. There isn't one thing. And if you're talking to a charity, quite often that charity is saying, "Well, look, we've got a commitment to our community that we're going to help more kids do a sports camp, or we're going to help more people with a food bank, or we're going to
Mm,
help." I use the example of
that's
this is a
scale.
family one for me, of helping provide sign language interpreters to people who are deaf. Um, we're going to help people do nurturing of young men in the community who don't have father figures, or whatever the heck the charity is. There's so many charities. I was involved in the board of a charity to help people that had brain injury. And so our requirement there was making sure we fulfilled our regulatory requirement, because we were still operating under some legislative restrictions, as well as making sure that we could meet the needs of the people that were funding us, because they had certain community goals that we had to show that we could achieve. Everyone you talk to is going to have actually a different underlying need. And
Hmm.
if we don't understand that, then we can't really connect properly with our customer.
I've actually, I remember the question I forgot, and it's something I've been talking to, several MSPs and clients as well. It sounds like, and the market's always changing. It sounds like today, right? October 2023. There's a lot of businesses, small medium businesses, seeking compliance because of, at least in the U.S., seeking compliance to meet new regulations that have been passed. And the pattern I'm seeing is it's trickling down from like government agencies or like Department of Defense to like Fortune 500 companies or huge banks or huge insurance companies or anybody who deals with very sensitive privacy data, and then those trickle down to the medium small business contractors or subcontractors, and these guys on top require everybody that they work with to be compliant and everybody that they work with to be compliant.
100%.
And in that scenario, when an MSP starts talking to one of these contractors, small, medium businesses, the need is to get revenue, to close a sale, to sign a contract. I must have compliance to get a new customer. That's huge, right? That's no longer IT. That's no longer maintenance or support. I'm here to grow, and get a new customer and grow my revenue. And I don't know. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Do you also see that trend in the market today? And how do you feel about, how do you think that'll affect or change how MSPs go out and search for clients or talk to clients?
You said it perfectly. And so examples, ISO accreditation. A little while ago, it was corporate social responsibility. It's ISO today, or it's modern slavery provisions is another very common one that we're seeing. There's a ton of these requirements, and sometimes they are ones that are a trend, if you like, and in other times they hang around
Mm-hmm.
and persist for years. I absolutely agree. We have to understand why that is. And that also gives that organization a budget because they can understand the cost of not doing it as well. I think one of the thoughts I have on this is that nobody buys IT, even us in the
Yeah.
industry. We don't go out there and go, oh, yay, I could buy some new IT today. Oh, how exciting is that? We might want to go and play something. If we're going to get excited about a purchase, it's more likely to be, I don't know, a piece of sporting equipment, a bicycle, a new racing bike, or a boat, or a sports car, or whatever does it for you. But it's never really, maybe it's its latest iPhone. Other than that, we don't go, oh, exciting! I can buy some new tech. We resent buying technology. We buy it because we have to have it to achieve an outcome. The exciting thing is the outcome that achieves, not the technology itself. And we just have to remember that. So, yep, it might be compliance with a standard to help that company to retain or grow its client base to attack a competitor. Absolutely, it might be because if they don't do it, they're not going to be able to continue to trade in business because they've got to demonstrate that they are, let's say, anti-slavery is the one that came across my desk yesterday that I've been having a look at, or minimum standards for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Over here, I'm seeing a lot of SOC 2 compliance, HIPAA
Yep.
compliance, healthcare, and things like that too. Switching, yeah, go ahead.
Well, you're on the cyber insurance space specifically as well. So the regulation that circles around you is going to be things like HIPAA, PCI. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be
PCI.
SOC 2. It's going to be the requirement that the cyber insurers are putting on the policies that they write. So you're absolutely going to be seeing that. But if you're out in, say, the not-for-profit space, it might be the requirements being put out by the funders to demonstrate
Mm.
value for money, community involvement, diversity. It might be diversity of their governance, or diversity in the workplace, or how they are approaching their community. Every industry has some kind of, I guess, overview that they need to achieve.
Absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, you mentioned, typical pain points or how to understand pain points of clients, how MSPs can understand the pain points of the clients. I'm curious for you, Andrew, personally, what pain points do you see your clients having? Your clients, I'm assuming, are MSPs.
Yeah, and I still run my own MSP too, by the way.
Yeah.
I've got about 40 staff in my MSP business.
Dumb question. Do you use Cambium? Cambium
Of
for your
course,
MSP? Of course.
absolutely. Oh my lord, it's mandated because they have to understand. In fact, that's where it came from. This came from our MSP needing to understand their customers in order to
Mm-hmm.
achieve our growth goals. And that's the same questions the MSPs we talk to. So you tend to get, we're only looking for a certain subset of MSPs to be clients. We're looking for MSPs that are sort of mid-level maturity and seeking to be more mature. And those businesses are typically either transitioning from owner-led sales and hiring their first or second
Mm.
salesperson to support them, or they are ones that are trying to manage a consistent sales process across many salespeople, and quite often across many jurisdictions, many territories. The MSPs that get to that space that are still in very much the van mode trying to grow, that's not the client base that we're after. They've still, we look forward to them getting there, and it's hard work. I've done that myself. But where we kick in is where the organisation saying, actually, I want to now take on a new salesperson to grow. I need to grow without the owner of the business being the lead salesperson. I need to get others to do my process. And it's really hard to find experienced salespeople out there. They are
Yep.
gold in the hills, right? They're hard to find when you get to them. They're nuggets. And I would suggest that when you do a hire in that space, and over almost 30 years of hiring in that space, I reckon we probably get 2 out of 3 hires wrong. And I think I know what I'm doing. I reckon I probably get 2 or 3 of those hires wrong because they're
Right.
hard to find the right thing. So how do you empower them to be more successful? Well, you give them this tried and true, proven process, and you give them the questions to answer, and you give them a system to work with them, because actually you're not there. When you're seeing a customer for the first time, they don't know all the stuff behind you. They don't know your knock and how good your knock is. They don't know your field team and how great they are. They don't know how kind and supportive your administration team is. They don't know what your remote support team's like. They've not met them. All they've seen is the rep that comes out and the experience they have with you and what someone else might have said. And that's about it. So you've got to present well. So the MSPs that we talk to are kind of, half of them are in that situation where they are branching out, and they're trying to broach that gap from the owner to the sales team and provide that sales team with the best chance of success, a process they can follow that makes it easy to follow this recipe.
I'm curious, what's the day in the life of a new hire for your MSP using Kambium? They get hired in. I imagine you do some training. You equip them with Kambium, teach them how to use it. They start using it. Is there a feedback loop? Do they? Yeah, I guess I could. What does that look like? What's their experience?
Yes, we've got 4 currently in sales roles. We've just lost one. We've got to find a replacement. As I say, they don't all work out, and so we're just going through that very exercise in our MSP right at the moment. So yep, you bring them in, you induct them. Here's who we are, our values, our principles, our standards of behaving, how we treat each other, the kinds of customers that we specialize in, our systems processes, our cybersecurity rules, how we manage our data and look after ourselves. And then we get into their role. And so, yeah, we give them Get Kambium. And so they might have a case where their job is predominantly to go and nurture existing customers, or they might be in a space where they're hunting for new. So let's go with the first one, where they're out there farming existing client base. It's a great question. We say all of our customers should have an annual discovery every single year, because customers change. They don't change a lot, but they do change. They're not the same. Different people come on board with different tactics and strategies. So every year they should do a discovery workshop with the customer to reaffirm that our understanding is accurate, and to refresh and maintain it where it's changed. And then every quarter they have to go to each of their clients and check in, not just on operational dashboard stuff, that's important, but then they need to go and talk about how are we as the MSP helping this business to do the things they said in discovery were important. And sometimes it's with different people, because the operational stuff tends to be with an operational person, and the strategy execution tends to be with somebody who's more senior. So Get Kambium helps you to sort of lift up into the senior leadership team, and sometimes to the owner of the client. So that's
Wow.
their typical. They've got to do the discoveries, and they've got to do the QBRs. And some of them, for some of the clients, they break the discovery up into 4 and do some of the discovery. So they might do the cybersecurity in Q1. They might do the desktop productivity in Q2. They might do governance in Q3, and so forth. For a new prospecting role, for a sales hunter, we're currently running, I think we've got 3 campaigns now with people out doing lead generation, either through webinars and events in person, or through 2 different cold calling campaigns that we've got going on right now. They get warm leads, they go out to events, whatever they do. And then someone's going to invest, the potential customer is investing time talking to you. They're a busy person. They woke up that morning with a to-do list that was longer than the number of hours in the day, and they've chosen to give you as a rep of this MSP some time of their day.
Right.
Well, they haven't done that lightly. They had a choice of how to spend that hour, and they chose to spend it with you. They weren't bored. They've come to see you for a reason. So your opportunity is to find out what that reason is. So come back, ask the right questions. And again, they put out Get Kambium. They do a slightly different discovery because we're meeting you for the first time. So, hey, Do you have an IT strategy? What's your business goals? Why did you invest time seeing me today? What was it
Mm-hmm.
that you liked about us that meant that you gave some of your busy day to see me? Because that's actually the clue, right?
Yep.
And then you go through and you uncover. And what we tend to find is that people say, oh, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before. You guys are different to everybody else that I've seen who wanted to see the server room or wanted to see the rack. You want to talk about my business.
Yep.
Wow, that's
Trust
different.
building.
And that's the experience that we enjoy.
Well, I just keep imagining as you say that how much time you as the MSP owner save on people management or training or tracking, right? And helping drive results from the sales team. Also, how much the sales team, how much time the sales team saves themselves. Just having a process, knowing exactly what to do, and the support that they need. They can get it when they need it. Um, yeah, and just it prevents things from falling through the cracks. It helps answers questions before they even come up. Yeah, that's incredible. Um,
You're sort of right. And spend time on the things that are going to
exactly.
have outcomes. Yeah.
Yep, and be able to scale up as well and be more productive in the same amount of time. Um,
That,
yeah.
that's exactly right. Now, Jeremy, you've been part of pitches, and as have we. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How did you find it?
Through Pitchit. Pitchit has a members list of
Oh,
folks
sorry,
in the
I asked
accelerator.
the wrong question. I asked the wrong question. How did you experience it? Did you find the pitch experience helpful to Telivy?
So that's a great question. I'm not the founder. Noreen is. So that's where my experience drops off. May I ask what is the motivation behind the question? Maybe I can answer that.
Well, we're looking forward to being at IT Nation Connect in
Same.
just a few weeks' time now,
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward. Some of the people watching this stream lucky to be there. Now
absolutely.
we're going to be there. I don't know if you're going to be there or
We're
not.
gonna
It's
be
kind of
there. We're
like,
gonna have a booth.
do
Uh,
you have a booth? So will
yeah,
we.
yeah.
Fantastic. Why don't we spend some time together there? I look forward to catching up with you. And I'm really
Absolutely.
excited to meet some of the folk who are watching in on this and to talk about how they are achieving. Because I talk about our customers having business goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone watching this video has got a business goal as well. And so I'm going to guess they're all revenue related. I'm going to guess that they're worried about trying to protect their customers to make sure that they're not having to run around. I mean, it's what you guys do is you do a great job of making sure that the customers aren't exposed and distracting the MSP from dealing with an unnecessary cyber event. So I'm really looking forward to understanding what the people watching this, what's important to them and showing them how we can help them to achieve that.
Absolutely. All these questions that we've discussed today, would love to ask them directly to the audience in person at IT Nation.
You
Um,
got it.
Absolutely, and we're gonna have a lot of promotional events around IT Nation promotions, and come grab coffee with us type of things as well. I do have a last question to ask you, Andrew, before we go. In your 32 years experience in the industry, I wanted to ask you. You're a veteran now, right? And you're a sales expert
Look at my
leader.
grey.
How did you learn sales? What was that
Oh,
learning journey like throughout your career? Because I
oh,
imagine
that.
you weren't just born, an expert, right?
Oh my God, how long have we got? Oh, what a great question. What a brilliant question. My Lord. So I started off when I was 15, doing my first computer. Discovered computers for the first time. I was 15. These are back in the days when computer software was on cassette tape. And I actually wrote and sold a few computer games. And so I'm a tech. I'm a programmer and a tech by instinct. And my first few jobs were in that space. And I watched our service provider, the place I was working at, do a lousy job. And I thought, shivers, I can do better than that. So I'll go hang up my own shingle and give it a go. And I know that is a similar experience to many of the people watching this. They've gone, I'm not happy where I am. I think I can do a better job. I'm going to hang up my shingle and go for it. And we're technical people. We're good at solving problems. And so we get thrown out into the world to go and sell, which is new to all of us. And so I got a sales coach early on.
Hmm.
And I got a sales coach who said, you know what, you got to ask the right questions, understand their business, show how you can add value to their needs, the things that get Kambium puts into a portal. That's what I learned early on, and I've done that. And since then, as my career has grown, I've done a bit of governance on a variety of organisations, commercial and non-commercial. And I've discovered more and more that it is about understanding the business of the organization. What they care about is how they make decisions. I've sat around that table evaluating IT proposals from other
Hmm.
providers for a variety of things and used what I learned as to how we make that evaluation. You walk in your customer's
Yep.
shoes to
Empathy.
understand and that's been my experience. And we've bundled it up. I have actively consumed content like this stream that we're doing now, gone to events, read the books, watched the webinars, learned as much as I can. And what I found actually is that what Get Cambium does really encapsulates the bulk of the bulk of the processes are all pretty much the same. They come down to understanding what your customer wants to do and showing how you can help them to do it, or if it's a thing that you can't help them to do, being honest about that and
Yeah.
moving on to somebody that can help.
Are you still learning today?
Oh hell yes, absolutely.
What are you learning these days? What's the next thing?
Oh, you do ask the most intriguing questions. Every day, if you don't start in the day smarter than you began, then I think you've missed opportunity. And you learn things a lot through experience. So I actively do directorship learning. I actively attend events like this and learn and watch and listen. I'm really looking forward to IT Nation. There's some fantastic presenters always come out of it, pages and pages of notes. And then outside of work, you got to keep learning as well. So I enjoy gardening. I'm forever
Oh
learning
wow.
about new techniques in the garden and new
Nice.
plants. And recently, my wife and I invested in a sailing yacht, and that's all new to me. So I've got a sailing coach right now. Different sort of sail, SAIL, not SALE.
Uh-huh. There's a
And
lot
we're
to learn there.
a lot to learn there. And so I'm out on the water when I can, uh, learning how to get this rather magnificent sailing yacht around, so my family and I can have some new holiday experiences. So learning is all about, I think, your personal growth and being better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And I don't know if that ever ends. I think that ends with death, and I'm not in a rush to get there.
All right. In the in at the with the at the risk of running over time, I do want to ask you, where do you think that comes from? That student mentality and always wanting more to learn, because not everybody's like that, right? And sometimes it's hard to do it. It's a lot of work. Where do you think that comes from for you?
Jeremy, I can tell that you have that student mentality of always learning. I can see that from your LinkedIn profile. I can see that from this event and from the work getting involved in it. And I think it's common across our MSPs. They go to events, they tune into this because they want to know more. We live in a world where change is happening faster and faster than ever before. I read a quote somewhere along the lines of the fact that change has never happened faster than it does today. It will never happen slower than it does today. And I think that's very true. A person who doesn't want to learn and adapt and evolve, well, that's never worked out well in the past. And I
Yep.
can't see why that would change anytime soon. Evolution continues to make us have to learn, adapt, and improve. Uh, isn't that just the human creature?
Yeah, absolutely. Survival or business survival
Growth.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, growth. Yeah, but Simon Sinek, that's a great point. Simon Sinek, he's one of my favorite authors. The Infinite Game is a great example of that. Come back tomorrow better and sharper. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my last question. The last question is, who should reach out to you, and what's the best way to reach you, Andrew?
All right. So, hey, I've really enjoyed this conversation, Jeremy.
Me too.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to having a drink with you
Yes, please. Yeah.
in
Wow.
Florida in what are we now? I
Like a
guess
month.
35, 33 days, something like that. Be
Yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah.
But, so people who want to, frankly, achieve their sales goals, business owners who want to make sure that their sales team is firing and doing the things that they know are the right things to do to be successful, come have a chat to us. We would help you fill your CRM with sales opportunities that are qualified to help your customers achieve their goals and your sales team to achieve their quota by understanding their client.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the last plug for me, hey, MSPs, do you want to win new clients and capture new prospects visiting your website with a risk assessments widget? Reach out to us today at telivy.com. And special promotion for podcast listeners, if you know an MSP owner or sales or marketing person who could benefit from winning new prospects, connect us over email at contact@telivy.com. When your referral becomes a Telivy partner, you receive a $500 referral bonus. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Andrew, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, your stories. I really hope that our audience learned as much from you as I did. Also got to learn a little bit about yourself as well, and where you come from, and hope we could all connect at IT Nation in a month. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.